From one huge event to another. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. Huset Speedway went quiet for a week following that thrilling finale at the inaugural High Bank Nationals, but it was right back to the national spotlight from there. This time, it was for the second running of the USAC Nationals. The USAC Amsoil non-wing sprints led things off on Friday. Ryan Bernal jumped to the early lead from the outside pole, but his front row counterpart would answer a couple of laps later. Ryan Mitchel surges past to take the top spot away. But the guy he needed to worry about was coming from 8th. Big move here from Robert Ballou as he skips from 4th to 2nd in one corner. And he didn't stop there. A few laps later, Ballou capitalizes in traffic, overtaking Mitchel for the lead. 12 machine really set sail from there as Ballou opens the weekend with his 4th victory of 2022. 25 cars on the starting grid for the night's USAC Midget feature, but it'd be a short run for one of them. The 57 of Maria Kofoid rolls hard off the initial start. That brings out an immediate red flag. Hard tumble for sure, but Kofoid was okay. When the race got going, we'd see a good battle between top rookie Mitchel and Brenham Couch, with the 89 ultimately gaining the edge. Moles settled in nicely at the front, but his lead eventually evaporates. 12th place starting Buddy Kofoid throws a massive slider to pick off Moles with 10 to go. Unfortunately, things actually got worse for Moles moments later as he flips in turn 1, and just like that, his run was done altogether. None of that fazed Kofoid. The Pengrove, California native dominates the rest of the way to earn his 5th victory of the season. Back at it 24 hours later for night 2 with Ballou hoping to make it back-to-back wins in Brandon. But this night looked like it would belong to Mitchel. The driver of the 19 AZ opened up as much as a 4-second lead on the field before a catastrophic mistake with 10 to go. Moles jumps the cushion in turn 3, and it got ugly from there. Second place running Jaden Rogers, collateral damage in this one. Both drivers were okay, but they were obviously done for the night. That handed the lead to Ballou, and normally that would pretty well seal it, but not this time. With 7 to go, Ballou slides a little high in turn 4, and that opens the door for Ryan Bernal. The part-time racer from Hollister, California, more than happy to accept that gift. Bernal gets his first USAC National Sprint Car victory in his 42nd career start. Buddy Kofoid came in with a chance to make a little history in the night's midget feature, but Cannon McIntosh was going to make him earn it. McIntosh, who started alongside Kofoid in row 3, completed his own run to the front with an early pass on pole setter Chance Crum. McIntosh really settled in from there, but he might have gotten a little bit too comfortable. With 11 to go, McIntosh bikes on the turn 3 cushion, and Kofoid was ready to pounce. The 67 drives into the lead, and he would not look back from there. Buddy Kofoid notches his 6th win of the season in his 12th start, making him the fastest to reach that number in the 67-year history of the USAC Midget National Championship. Fast forward to Sunday now, where Kofoid would have the opportunity to complete an improbable, not to mention lucrative, 3-day sweep. First things first, though, Mitchel seeking a little redemption following Friday's and Saturday's mishaps. Starting from the pole certainly helped, but Moles took full advantage as he again pulled away from the field. Ballou was another guy people were keeping an eye on. He was the high point man, and while he wouldn't make it all the way to the front on this night, he did climb from 12th to 5th to clinch that part of the championship, which came with a $10,000 prize. Back to the front now. Toughest challenge of the night for Moles on a lap 34 restart. CJ Leary tries to surge past in the 77M, but Moles was equal to the task, officially slamming the door with 5 to go. Moles would have to weather several more restarts down the stretch, including a couple of tries at a green-white checkered finish, but he gets the job done. Mitchel officially leads all 40 laps for his first career USAC National Sprint Car victory.
I feel like they're at the end, like if anybody was better than us, they probably would have had a shot at me, or they would have finished a slider or got it done, you know what I mean? I think our race car is really good right now, and I don't know, I feel like these guys work so hard, so especially after me tearing one up leading last night, I had to finish this one out for them.
That took us to the grand finale, 100 laps for the USAC National Midgets. Lots of action at the front of this one, starting right at the drop of the green flag with front row starters Jacob Denny and Justin Grant duking it out over the first few laps. Denny had the edge early, but Grant would swipe the top spot in time to lead lap 3. Meanwhile, how about Kofoid? Buddy already on the move from his 8th starting spot when disaster strikes in turn 1. Kofoid jumped the cushion, tumbles hard off the wall. Lots of concern in the crowd after seeing that, but Buddy was able to walk away under his own power. When racing resumed, Grant and Denny picked up right where they had left off, and it's Denny that gets round 2. He would lead the field to the halfway break, but things get wild again out of that. Cannon McIntosh going hard on the restart, and it leaves Grant with nowhere to go. He goes for a wild ride as well, but like Kofoid, he did manage to avoid injury. Shortly after the restart, Denny found himself in another battle, this time with McIntosh, and he would not win this one as persistence finally pays off for McIntosh on lap 64. And that would be the last lead change of the weekend. Cannon McIntosh holds off a late charge from Shane Golubic to clinch both the feature win and the points title, which earned him a total of $22,000.
It's huge for us. You know, we're not one of these huge teams over here. You know, we're kind of going up against Goliath here. So it's cool when a team like this, especially for us, can come out here and win such a prestigious race like this, and you know, also win the championship points as well for the weekend. So you know, it feels super special.
The green flag is set to drop on the second half of the weekly racing schedule at Huset Speedway this weekend, and Jody Rosenboom is ready to roll. We'll have more on him after this.
You're watching Midco Motorsports, presented by Huset.
Jody Rosenboom owns the 7th most overall wins at Huset Speedway all time, so he knows a thing or two about what it takes to be successful at that historic facility. He's also learned just how difficult it can be to see that success translate from one class to another. The Rock Rapids, Iowa native shares that perspective in this week's Driver Spotlight. Jody Rosenboom has won a lot of races in his 19-year career, but the ones he's celebrated in Brandon, South Dakota have always been a little sweeter.
I've been lucky to have a lot of success at this place, you know, between 360 and 410, and you don't realize how, you know, you call it lucky, good, whatever you want to say, you are to be able to have that success and have the equipment and what it takes to have that success.
Rosenboom won back-to-back 360 championships at Huset Speedway in 2008 and 2009, which helped him become the track's all-time wins leader in that class. But the 410 level has been an entirely different challenge.
You're at the level of your competition so much, you know. When you get Ryan Timms and Aaron and Arton Genetons here, Paul Neinheiser's a great driver. Then you got your normals that are always here, like both McCarls, Dobmeyer, and you can go down that line. Dusty Zomer's won a lot of big races. I mean, this place on a weekly level is insanity. I mean, it's a glorified outlaw to an all-star show every week here, so it's pretty cool to be able to call that your home track.
After a few years away from that home track, Rosenboom spent most of 2021 trying to rediscover the rhythm of Huset's. He believes that seat time served him well.
Huset's being gone, just didn't race as much, and if you don't race as much, you just don't seem like you kind of get back into the full flow, and you know, your driving seems like it suffers a little bit because you need those shows, you need those laps, you need basically the practice. I feel like we were off a little bit, and I think you know, we made some changes through the winter. You know, we updated a few things. We've raced here enough years and got enough laps around this place that's kind of a little bit of an equalizer. You know, it puts you in the game. Biggest thing is get out, get a good qualifying lap, you know, get yourself in the invert and put yourself in position to win. And after that, you know, just let it fall where it falls.
Now, Rosenboom will be looking for a little more consistency in the second half of this season. He's recorded 2 top 10 finishes in his first 8 starts at Huset and currently sits 14th in the points. Well, the Advantage RV Modified Tour kicked off its July slate Friday night in Fergus Falls. We'll show you the highlights from their stop at I-94 Speedway next.
You're watching Midco Motorsports, presented by Huset.
Johnny Brocking has again emerged as the man to beat on the Advantage RV Modified Tour. The defending champion captured 2 of 4 checkered flags in June to open up a 21-point lead on the field heading into Friday's show in Fergus Falls. And a beautiful night it was at I-94 Speedway. The Wissota Midwest Mods got things started with a 20-lap feature which saw Taylor Bitson work into the early lead alongside Brennan Gave. The field would come back together for a restart a few laps in, and it was there that Watertown, South Dakota's Mike Nichols took advantage of a slight slip from Bitson. He gets the lead with Gave moving into second. It was Nichols' race to lose from there. Unfortunately for him, that's exactly what happened. The 67 loses control just after the white flag, ending Nichols' bid for the win. That set up a green-white checkered finish. Gave going head-to-head with the 42X of Travis Sauer. And watch this. Gave with the absolute dagger in turn 4 to seal his first win in 14 total starts this season. That would be a tough act to follow, but the headliners appeared to be up for the challenge. 45 laps the distance in the Advantage RV Modified Tour's main event. A little good fortune early on for Brandon Kopp as he falls into the lap 1 lead thanks to a bobble from pole setter Josh Thonis. Kopp's momentum would slow due to an early caution, and on the ensuing restart, it set off a good battle for second between Brocking and the 9 of Don Eichens. Those two went back and forth, all while gaining on Kopp. Eichens eventually closed that gap entirely, although he didn't have quite enough juice to actually make the pass to the next restart, and it was a big one. Check out the move here from Tyler Peterson. The 1 car splits the 22 and the 9 to take the lead with 15 to go. Just an outstanding run from Peterson on this night, who climbed all the way from 12th to earn his 3rd win already in the month of July. The NOSA Sprints kicked off a 3-race weekend at River Cities on Friday. We'll show you those highlights when Midco Motorsports rolls on.
You're watching Midco Motorsports, presented by My Place Hotels.
Parity is currently at its peak for the NOSA Sprints. In 2021, Brendan Mullen became the 5th different driver to win the series championship in as many years, marking the first time in NOSA's 27-year run that they've gone that long without a repeat champ. Mullen in contention again this summer, although he entered Friday's run at River Cities 22 points behind Mark Dobmeyer. Picking up with the Wissota Street Stocks, where pole setter Greg Josie would take control off the start. The 28 would lead the way most of the way, but Josie's wire-to-wire hopes go out the window with 2 to go. Points leader Aaron Blacklance works past him on the inside, and he drives on for his 2nd Street Stock win of the year at River Cities. Another guy that's having a tremendous season is Lance Schill, Team 17, dominating the Midwest Mods class. But it also came into the night in the late models top 4, and it would inch a little closer by the time all was said and done. Schill passes Hall of Famer Tom Corcoran for the lead, and then holds off a hard-charging Dustin Strand to get his late model leading 3rd victory of the season. To the main event now, loaded field for the 25-lap NOSA Sprint feature, but a great jump from Thomas Kennedy gives the 21K the early edge. A quick caution would bring Kennedy right back to the pack, though, and that opened the door for Dobmeyer. The 13 JT can't quite get it done off the restart, but he would be back for more a few laps later. Back-to-back sliders proves to be too much for Kennedy as Dobmeyer pulls away from him, sails through traffic, and picks up his 2nd Bull Ring win of 2022.
The top towards the later end of it definitely got dominant, so you needed some lap cars or something to mix it up and make that leader make a choice. You know, even when I got to the lead, I had one lap car in front of me and I couldn't quite get it. It was the same one that hung Thomas, and I couldn't quite get by him. I just had to finally make bold moves and get by him.
Still to come on Midco Motorsports, a heartwarming story on a Grand Forks race fan whose quick thinking and heroic actions has landed him in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We're back with that story after this.
You're watching Midco Motorsports, presented by My Place Hotels.
The NASCAR Hall of Fame opened back in 2010 and is filled with all sorts of exhibits for fans to enjoy. Whether it's the Pit Crew Challenge, car simulators, or just a trip down memory lane, there's plenty to keep fans occupied. It also includes a unique section featuring a North Dakota native who was honored for his actions off the track. Brian Shawn has his story in this week's Inside Track, which is brought to you by My Place Hotels.
The NASCAR Hall of Fame has a little something for everybody, looking at the evolution of the sport to learning more about your favorite drivers from past and present.
There is an incredible appreciation and reverence for the history of the sport and those who built the sport. One of the biggest challenges is you never have enough space to tell everything, but that's one of your biggest opportunities.
On the fourth floor, the Wheeling Hall of Champions has trophies that date back to the founding of NASCAR, along with a listing of title holders in all regional and national circuits. But that's not all.
Wheeling Engineering's primary customers are first responders, police, fire, medic, etc. And they develop, as a part of this exhibit, called the Everyday Champion. And their representatives throughout the United States get nominations from their parts of the company of an Everyday Champion.
Back in 2014, the first ever honoree for this section of the Hall of Fame, a Grand Forks native named Jay Farmer, who was serving as a state trooper out in Washington.
I grew up in the West Bleachers coming to races every Friday night, and I moved out to Washington State for 13 years. I have a couple guys at work that'll razz me about, you know, everyday hero, but it's all in good fun. To go into law enforcement and think that law enforcement would cross with racing someday, like that just doesn't happen.
But it did happen, all because he responded to a distress call in 2013.
I was on duty and I was about 10 miles away, and we get a call for a car in a pond that had went off the highway. I was a state trooper, so I was responsible for that area. We swam out there, and by the time we get out there, there's about a foot of the rear window showing. It's going under, and we can hear the person in the car gurgling, and he's underwater. He's starting to yell underwater. He had been unconscious prior to that. And we broke out the window with the asp, and the door popped open, and we swam him to shore. He had a medical problem, medical emergency, and that was that.
But that was just the beginning. Wheeling invited Farmer and his wife to Charlotte for the opening of the exhibit, and a special bond formed.
Wheeling didn't know at the time that Jay was a race fan. You know, they invited him to come and be a part of the big Wheeling banquet ceremony to honor him.
They didn't think that I would know anything about racing, but when I started giving them some of my background and the things that I knew about racing, I think that's what made that friendship even stronger, the connection we had there.
6 years ago, Farmer moved back to his hometown and is now working as a school resource officer for the Grand Forks Police Department. But the relationships from his experience has led to some exciting opportunities at racetracks all over.
They definitely give me the red carpet treatment. You know, when I go to a race, it's pretty good passes. I'm not sitting up in the grandstands. I'm meeting the drivers and crew chiefs and going in the haulers and sitting up on the pit stands, and yeah, I'm very spoiled, and I admit that. But you know, if they're going to keep inviting me, I'm going to keep going.
In 2019, Farmer helped create a summer program for middle school students called the Impact Academy, with a goal of helping create leaders and role models in the community. It operates mostly on donations. After shooting a promotional video for Wheelan last year, General Manager of Motorsports Pete Tezzi asked how he could give back.
He asked me, hey, Wheelan would like to make a donation. Is there a program that you'd want to see that donation go to? And I told him about the Impact Academy, and so sure enough, when I was in Charlotte, they presented me with a big, huge check, and yeah, so that's benefiting the Impact Academy and the kids right here in Grand Forks.
Farmer continues to attend races all over the nation and still keeps in touch with many of the same people that honored him nearly a decade ago.
It's definitely the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in law enforcement.
He and his brother Chris come every now and then when they're coming to the race in Charlotte. I'll get a text or a tweet from him on a pretty regular basis, but he will always be our first Wheelan everyday champion. So Jay is literally a part of our family.
It's crazy to think that from doing my job and jumping in a pond to help a guy get back to shore, that all this came about. I always tell people, like, I'm not a hero. Anybody would have done the same thing. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
You can learn more about some of the other everyday champion honorees at wheelan.com/champions. As for Farmer, he's set to be promoted to detective with the Grand Forks PD in October. All right, that's going to do it for us for this week. For Brian, Shawn, and our producer Levi Vanderwhite, I'm Jay Elson. Enjoy the races, everyone. We'll see you back here next Wednesday night for another episode of Midco Motorsports.